Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and we're going to look through some hands that I played in the last week of poker. It's not been the busiest of weeks for me. As I said in the last video, I was going to spend a lot of the week watching snooker. That certainly turned out to be the case. I also went and played live on Saturday, so I lost the entirety of Saturday. Then I had a bet on Ronnie O'Sullivan to win the snooker and sweated that all day Sunday. So I had the whole weekend off. I didn't play much earlier in the week. I've been struggling a little bit with, I think it's a virus or something. Now I'm literally full of cold. Yesterday was a busy day. I played nearly 3,000 hands yesterday. Looking forward to getting right back into the grind. And then towards the end of the day, I started really struggling with symptoms of a cold, and my nose has just been running like something chronic and sneezing a lot and getting headaches and things. So probably won't be playing much today, which is a shame because I wanted to get. Basically, the year starts now for me. I've basically took the first 2 weeks of the year off. It started yesterday, and we've already hit a small stumbling block. But whatever, it is what it is. Let's go reviewing the hands. We're not going to, there's loads to review, so we're not going to spend too much time on any of them. It's just more of a, this is what happened last week, and at the end, this is what the graph looks like. But I will call myself out for any mistakes I make. I remember this hand, and I wasn't particularly proud of it. We open 8-9 suit in the button, completely standard. And a pretty aggressive reg in the big blind, certainly by these game standards. 3-betting us, usually I would consider folding this, but we are deep. So I was like, right, okay, well, we're not folding it. I think his 3-bet should be a little bit bigger because of how deep we are. He's got a relatively wide, well, very wide 3-betting range compared to the population in the games I play. So I just can't fold this hand at this depth in position versus an aggro reg. So we called. Then we get this flop, and I was very excited. And he decided to bet 1/3 pot. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't ran this spot in GTO because I just don't anymore because I just can't be bothered. I think like running spots in GTO when you're playing micro stakes is a nonsense because ranges are fucked from pre-flop all the way through the game tree. So you don't really learn very much from studying in like lookup databases like GTO, which is in my opinion. But this bet seems too small. It's a very wet coordinated board. I think probably expect to see a lot of checks, and when players do bet, just see larger bets. I thought this wasn't great. I thought this was pretty weak, to be honest. So I decided to go with a very small raise. This could be bullshit too. Don't really want to raise too big. I think when we raise too big, we end up filtering his range to stuff that would just, we can't be doing terribly against. We got flush draw and a gut shot, but we just like, I think this forces him to continue sometimes with like ace king, ace queen with the heart, etc. Stuff that he might just be like c-bet in range with. I think a lot of that still has to continue. And fair enough, they're ahead of us, but we get them to fold at some point later in the hand, unless they improve. So I went with the raise. Villain called, turned a pair. Villain checks, and I think this is my first mistake. I think I should probably continue betting. I don't like to. I like to, like as I said in last week's video, I prefer to be more polarized when I'm betting, and this would feel a little bit mergy to me. But I just think we've probably got the best hand a lot of the time now. Our hand could use could get some value from some slightly like worse hands that who still feel they need to call. We've got equity when we get called and we're behind. And if we check back and then villain bets Rig River, we're in like a weird spot. So I think I should probably bet again. But obviously checking is completely fine. I did go with the check. River complete break. And villain now bets 2/3 pot. And this is where I think I made the mistake. When he's betting this size, I don't think it's a bluff. And that's a problem because we only beat bluffs. We don't beat any value. I think I should just fold this hand or just turn it into a bluff and jam it. I think when I was in the spot, I was like, it's probably like jacks, queens, etc. Something like that. Maybe even kings and aces. We just don't beat, we don't beat any value, and we we got hearts, and then we don't really block many of his like heart combinations at 3-bet from the blinds, but nevertheless, still felt like, oh well, if we got hearts, he's going to have less bluffs in his range because we have 2 hearts that we'd like him to have, etc., etc. I think I should probably just fold here. I think turning the hand into a bluff, it does put over pairs in a tough spot. But we check back the turn. So what are we repping on the river here when we raise flop, check back turn, then we want to bluff raise river? It'd just be bullshit, wouldn't it? It wouldn't make any sense. I think we should just fold this. I didn't know because I'm a fucking moron sometimes. And I called and we ran into top set, which was disappointing. Next hand, ace king. I'm not going to remember all of those hands, but remember that one because I thought I played it particularly badly. Villain opens, we 3-bet ace king. Get a cold 4-bet from an absolute whale who is untagged. Fold. That isn't just going to be a boring all in. What do I do? I mean, we should just go all in. But what did we actually do? I decided to be tricky trappy. I mean, this guy was wheeling it off. You can see by his stats, it's a very small sample, but 73-33. Mad aggressive post flop. Maybe I just wanted to like trap him. Maybe I had no intention of folding, even if we missed. I don't know. Fuck knows what was going through my mind. The jam's easily the best decision. I don't know why I've done this. Check. 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 Okay. Check. Bet. Easy call. Don't know why that one's in. Many apologies. And he had Jack Queen. Many apologies. That one was dull as shit. 8-7 suited. Isolate a limper. Pick up a cold caller. So, as usual, we do not achieve isolation. We flop ourselves an open end straight draw. Check. Villain now donks. 63/7 finds a donk on the 9-10-10. Donks are well, they're all weird donk sizes, aren't they? Probably call, maybe raise. Probably call though. We don't know what this guy's going to do in the big blind. He's likely just checking range. Don't want to raise and get blown off our equity, I guess. I did go with the call. Turn queen. I remember this hand now. Villain bet 6 bigs again, and I was convinced at this point that, yeah, they had like a flush draw, or maybe 9x. That was my very specific read, given this very limited information. But when players don't size up on the turn, so effectively this is a smaller bet. It's the same size, but effectively it's a much smaller bet as a percentage of the pot. When this happens, I typically just think, well, the player's hand strength hasn't changed on that board. I'd imagine 10x to bet much bigger. I'd imagine if he was somehow donking a straight draw and he got there, he would bet bigger. I just thought, again, this is 9x, so it's a draw trying to set its own price. I went with the small raise, or not small, but smallish raise. Villain called. River was a deuce. Villain checks, and at this point we've got 8 high. I think Villain's got a lot of 9x in his range, maybe some spades that I've got as high carded. Mandatory all-in spot, which is what we did. Villain snaps our cock off, and he had a 10. King, queen suited, raise, everyone calls. Flop a very strong draw. Checks to us. I can go either way here. Doesn't matter. Really, I really don't think it matters what we do here. We've got that much equity or decent equity. Bet small, bet big, check call, check raise. Doesn't matter. Let's see what I did in the moment. I went with the small bet. Call, fold. Turn brick. We're up against 2 whales here. Check. And we can go small again to set our own price. Given the flop didn't raise, I'm very not expecting the turn to get raised. If we just were to bet like 6 bigs here, 7 bigs, like 1/3 pot. I don't think betting bigger really achieves very much. We can also obviously check. Again, not too worried about what I did here. We went with the just over 1/3 pot, fold, call, and we river basically the nuts. check, and now it's just a matter of sizing. I think with the board being paired, maybe we don't get to go too greedy because we'll just get too many folds, and when we get called, we'll lose a bit more frequently. But we're up against a 78-17, so you just forget that. Do you just forget that? Go for a large bet, hope he's got a smaller flush. Go for a large bet, hope he's got like an ace of some description. Maybe he's got a hand like ace 10, ace 9 that isn't going to fold. I think it'll depend on anything you've observed from this player in the moment, or just how you're feeling about the situation in hand. Sometimes your instincts can be like your first instinct can be the best decision. Looking back at this now, I think probably just going with like a pot size bet, maybe a small over bet would be best. Anything from like say 30 bigs to 50 bigs, something like that. I went with 31 bigs, Bill and called. And he had ace 4 off suit, so unlikely a larger bet would have been called, but who knows? He's 78-17. Queen 10 off, 76/9 raises from the button. It's not thrilling to defend the Queen 10 off. I mean, he's 76 VPIP. We love that. We love playing hands against him. But he almost never raises. Now he's 3xing, so need to bear that in mind. But obviously, we're never folding. We call, flop 2 pairs, check. And the bet's 2/3 pot. I think mandatory raise. Just try and build the pot now before the board gets too scary. If he's got like top pair or better, we're going to be able to stack him on this streak because he's 76 VPIP. If he's got aces, kings, ace, queen, king, queen, etc., all the money's going in. So I think we should just raise. Size, I think we should raise probably something in the region of 18 to 20 big blinds would be my preferred sizing. 22, a little bit on the large side, but whatever. Villain calls. Miserable turn card. We have a pretty unhappy check right now. Do we? Yeah, I think we do. I've got a vague memory of this hand, and I think I'm about to jam. But I think checking is probably better. It does allow villain to realise equity, but we might be... Well, we can't be dead, because we've got... Well, we can be dead. He can have pocket aces. But, you know, we can't really be dead. But does he really call with too many worse hands when we shove? I think I remember shoving this. I could be wrong, but I don't think I like it in hindsight. I think probably just check is better, much better, even against a 76 VPIP. Oh, I did check. I must have been thinking of a different hand. Villain goes all in. We can't fold. You know, we just can't fold. He can have stuff like ace king, ace jack that's now just doing this, thinking it's got the best hand. We just have to call, don't we? Nothing else to say about it, really. And villain did have the ace king with the ace of clubs, so we dodged all his outs. Aces. Fish raised under the gun. Absolute whopper calls. I think our size here, given we've got 2 fish in the pot, we shouldn't push around. It should be quite big. At least 15, maybe bigger. Water edge. Right, well, this guy's got no money, so maybe that's... I just noticed now he hasn't got any money. This guy doesn't have a full stack, but still, nevertheless, let's go bigger. We just want to like build a pot against this guy. Oh, I remember why I did this now. I wanted, if he jammed, I didn't want the betting to be closed. If I made this say 14 here and he goes all in and he calls, we can only call because it's an under raise. By making it this side, yeah, this is very... This is why I put this hand in, because it's not very interesting, to be honest. But I put this hand in specifically to just anyone who doesn't really think this way. There's a lot of players in my community who are just recreational players and maybe wouldn't consider this when they had this hand, because the standard raise size here would be a lot bigger than 10 bigs, as of my first instinct. But now seeing his stack size, you don't really want to, when you're 3-betting someone who's most likely reaction to your 3-bet is all in or fold, you don't want to like tie yourself up with just being able to call when you've got another player like this in the pot. If we make it 15 here, he goes all in for whatever it would be, 22 bigs. He calls, we can't reopen the betting, so then we're forced to go 3 ways to the flop. We can't try and like have this guy put more money and then try and either knock him out of the pot or just get all the money in pre. So that's why we did this. He did furnitures with the all in. He calls, so yeah, this is just why this hand's in. There's nothing else to say about it. Just be aware of stack sizes when there's shorter stacks around, and make sure if you want to be able to like reopen the betting yourself versus these short stacks, then you need to make your in a situation like this, you need to make your bet appropriately sized so you can do that. I felt a bit like a clever dick when I was doing this actually. And then the board ran out whenever it ran out, and this guy just took all his money in with ASA, and it was lovely. Excuse me while I blow my nose. I'm not sure if my mute button's working, so many are pulling. Oh no, in fact, I'll just pause because nobody needs to hear this. I hate having bad flu. I absolutely hate it. Well, not hate it, but it's just inconvenient, isn't it? Limp. No, never going to ISO this. It just doesn't flop very well. Yeah, when it flops to 7, it flops great, but we ISO here 2 callers, which is going to hit most flops. We check, we flop a set. This player looks aggressive on flops. This player doesn't. The argument here is, do we just lead straight out for pot or do we check raise? I think I'd probably prefer check raise with this guy with his 58% bet flop percentage. Sadly for us, he only bets 1 blind. Now we just need to raise. I'd probably like to see our raise up to something around 6 blinds, 7 blinds, 9 blinds. Again, a bit on the large side, but we are dealing with 2 whales here, so we're just trying to stack an ace, aren't we? We get a call. Turn 10. 22 in the pot, 67 behind. We bet 20, puts 62 in. It leaves him with 47. Yeah, so 2E would be around like 19, 20 here. I'm not too bothered about that, but that's the sort of calculation I'll be doing on the fly. We went with full pot, brilliant called. 4-liner on the river. This might be the one I just jammed anyway. This might be the one I just YOLO jammed. I know YOLO jammed some card against a fish that wasn't great. I mean, I'm not going to hate jamming here. You're still just going to have a lot of ace X. So let's just ace X. 8 specifically, or 2 diamonds with an 8 in it. You know, we're just going to have the best hand a lot. I did go with jam, and Bill unfolded. Maybe that was too thin. King 10 off, ISO limp. Call from shit reg in the small blind. Call from whale in the big. Flop top 2 pairs. Check. Bet big. Loads of stuff we can get called by. Don't need to overthink it. Big hand, big bet with the whale in the pot, multi-way. Get check min raised virtually, just a bit extra. This is such a fucking tell from this type of player. I remember this hand. I actually just wanted to fold right now. Genuinely did. From this type of player, 20/13, no aggression. It's just a fucking. It's just a nut peddler, isn't he? Just a nut peddler. Flop. Check raise percentage of 11, so I mean it's higher than some, but beware of the small sample size. Raise C-bet in general, just 1 of 15. I mean, theoretically here, he's meant to have some worse. He's meant to have some flush draws. I mean, he's called out the small blind. Has he called out the small blind? No, he's called out the big. I was wrong at the start, wasn't I? Yeah, he's called out the big. So I was wrong at the start. I guess theoretically he can have some worse 2 pairs here from the big blind. 10 8 of clubs, 10 8 of spades, king 8 clubs. That's it. It can also have a set of 8s, the 1 set of 10s. You can also have flush draws like Jack Queen suited, but I don't think this type of player does that. Raises with that. Ace Jack suited, Ace Queen suited in hearts. I guess we can't fold theoretically, but in practice, the chances of this being a bluff are just fucking slim to 0. And I don't think he's check raising us with, say, a hand like King Queen. So it's a grim spot, even though we've got top 2. We call, turn ace. He goes all in, and we just have to fold now. If he was drawing, he's got there. We just have to fold. Please don't call Rich. No, we didn't. Prick. Him, not me. We open the ace of diamonds. 2 callers. Flop the world. Donk. Call But he's got loads of equity here. Just raise. I mean, we're up against two morons. There's no money in the pot. No, there's no money in the stacks. Just run it, which is what we do. And Bill another ace four off because he's a moron. Raise call. This is the same guy from the previous hand when we had the king 10. I know a lot of people like squeeze here. I obviously don't hate it, but we're dealing with someone. He's just raised first in my position stats. He's not. He's a reg because he plays every day, but he's shit. He's just a very tight fish. He's like raised first. He just seems to like have a certain number of hands that he raises. Looks like he raises from all positions. It's probably very strong ranges too, like 15%, 19%, 10s. Doing all right against that, but not brilliant versus a range that continues versus squeeze. I prefer flat here personally. At the big blind come in, try and flop a set multi-way, but you can obviously make an argument for squeezing. I do go with flat. We flop a set. Happy days. Check, check. Bet half pot. This guy's post-flop aggression isn't enormous. So this is more likely than not to be a made hand of some description rather than bluff due to his aggression stats. So do we just want to raise against his made hands now? Maybe get value from draws, etc. I think we probably do. Just keep it simple against morons. We do raise. He calls. Turn. Inconvenient ace. King Jack gets there. Maybe scares his queen X now. But we just keep betting. And he goes all in and we just have to call and there's nothing else to be said. He just had Queen Jack. That was a very, very, very ambitious line from Villain. 6-5 suited. 6-5 off, sorry. Don't know why I'm defending this hand versus this player. He's the same player from the previous hand, just a different table. Don't know why I'm defending this. Probably because he made it 2.5x and I got pissed off with him making it 2.5x. Fuck you. You're not getting my blind for that when you shit. Anyway, we call. He bets half pot. We've got a pair. We're going to see a turn, aren't we? Turn 8 of diamonds. He checks. We check back. River. Brick. He now goes with. I remember this hand from last night. He now goes with block. This player is. We know what he's got here. He's got some kind of medium strength value hand, and he's just trying to block it. And I didn't look at this. I probably should have looked at this at the time. How often he folds to a raise on the river. Well, it's only one of two. So he's only bet the river 2 times from 751 hands and faced a raise. And he's folded half the time. We can't take anything from that. I just decided, fuck you. I think if you had a real hand, if you had a flush, if you had a set, etc., you would just raise bigger. There's no straights possible. Well, there is 9-7. This guy very unlikely to have that, and then use his size. I thought this was going to be King X a lot. Maybe hands like pocket queens, pocket jacks, etc. So I just decided to go with a fuck you raise, and he folded, and my cock fattened a little bit. It was nice. Limp, ISO, call. Unsurprisingly, maybe we should have made our ISO 10x when we have 2 really high people, because we do want some folds pre. We don't want to just get called. We actually want to just win the pot pre sometimes. Maybe with these 2 really special cases, we just make our ISO bigger. We didn't know. We flopped 2 pair. Will donked 1 big blind. We're going to raise. Probably going to raise somewhere in the region of full pot, I would imagine. Well, 3/4 pot, whatever. This villain calls. This one goes all in. We're all in. Who cares? Everyone's all in. Everyone is all in. And we just make the nuts on the turn. And we were up against a 9-7 and a king. This guy, did what he did. He decided to overlimp and then just call king. What a silly, silly cunt. 3 bets versus a maniac. Call. block calls heavily. Not really that bothered. This is this guy's pre-flop folding stats. Flop turn river. Just gonna bet and hope he has something to call with. You Reg. You what, Reg? This only happened last night, and I don't remember checking. He's not even that aggressive post flop. What are you doing, Reg? That's bad. Bet turn. He raises. I mean, obviously we can just run it here. Top two pair, flush draw, etc. Yes, this is going to be the first of a few hands against this guy. I didn't know him particularly at the time, but this guy turned out to just do quite a lot of post-flop raising with all kinds of parts of his range. We called. We river the nuts, or effective nuts. We decided just to jam because if villains raise turn with value, I don't want him checking back the river, and he just folded, which is a shame. Same villain again. We ISO a limper. He calls. We flop badly. We check. He checks back. Turn. Check. He now bets. And this guy might be merging. He might be betting a 6 for too much of a big size. He might be betting a flush draw. Could be betting 7x. Obviously, there's some king x in there too. But we just can't fold this hand as played. Call. River ace. Check. Villain now polarizes and goes full pot, which I think these type of players might do when they've bricked a draw. I don't think he's betting a king for this size anymore on the ace river, so I just decided to bluff catch, and it didn't end well. Because villain had king 4. Well played, sir. We open the ace jack off. We get 3-bet by a mediocre reg. We call. I think we can just fold this hand if he goes bigger. And I know people don't like that. I don't care if you like it or not. This game tree is different to the ones you look at when you're flicking through GTO Wizard. This guy is only 3-betting 6% in total. Small blind 3-bet versus button steal is just 7%. If you look in your GTO Wizard, it's going to be wanting to 3-bet a lot more than that. So these ranges are just fucked up to begin with. In fact, let's have a quick look just to satisfy myself. So yes, here we are. This is button open, small blind 3-bet to 12 bigs, and button to take action. Ace jack off is a continue for 0 EV. So, you know, I don't exactly know how this works, but when you look at, like, if we 4-bet aces, it's worth a fucking gazillion. When we 4-bet kings, it's worth a gazillion. We 4-bet queens, it's worth a gazillion. We 4-bet ace jack or call with it, sometimes fold it, and it's mixing, and it's 0 EV. So I would just fold this, had this guy made a far bigger size, because his range is meant to be 15%. His range is 7. He's 3-betting. He's 3-betting half of this. And I think we all know which half we can fucking get rid of. It isn't this half, is it? It isn't this bit up here. They're all there. All these fucking things are there. And maybe this stuff isn't. So anyone who says, fuck you, Reg, you can't fold there, even if it makes it a proper size, I say, fuck you. I can do what the fuck I want. And if you want to defend 0 EV spots, versus for people who don't, theoretically 0 EV spots versus people who don't have the correct fucking ranges in which make this 0 EV, then fucking you go ahead, you do it. I don't give a fuck. You'll do worse than me. Anyways, never mind. He made it 9, so I'm like, fuck it. We'll just call and try and outplay him post flop or what have you. He checks a flop, which makes me think probably ace king, maybe a hand like ace jack. Maybe jacks, 10s, etc. This guy's pretty face up, to be honest. He's a relatively honest player. We decided to check back and try and take it away if he continues to show weakness. That was my strategy. Turn 8. Villain checks. I think I make a mistake here. I remember overbetting here. My reasons for doing it were I didn't want to give him a relatively easy call with hands like ace king, pocket jacks, pocket 10s, etc. My plan here was just overbet turn and just shove river if he checks. And I wanted to set up like a pot size river shove. Because I would want to, if I did have some 8x like we saw in the earlier hand, I could have an 8-9 here for certain. I want to get stacks in with that hand. I think villain's going to have a lot of like stuff that he could definitely fold at some point. But when we have value, then we just hope he's in trappy mode, don't we? If we've got 8x, we hope he's like just being a bit weird with the value hand, and maybe sometimes pocket jacks, pocket tens, hero causes. Maybe sometimes it folds. I don't fucking. I haven't got a clue. I don't fucking study these spots, do it, because I play the micro stakes. I don't need to fucking study these spots in order to win. But yeah, this might be. Well, it's almost certainly not a fucking thing. But given we have like a significant 8x advantage in my head, maybe we don't, but maybe we do. But given in my head we have a significant 8x advantage, and villains check twice, representing a hand like ace, king, jacks, tens, I think it's probably fine, even if theory doesn't like it. Villain called, river 10, villain checks again, and I didn't like this 10. I wanted to bail out. I wanted the river to be like a complete brick, and I was just like jam. I wanted the river to be like, I don't know, like the fucking 6 of fucking spades or something like that. I didn't like the 10 because you know, he doesn't have pocket jacks too often that we can try and make him fold, because we have a jack. If he's played pocket tens this way, he's now got a full house. He's not going to fold it. In the end, I just executed on the plan. Went with the all-in because that's what I set up to do. He absolutely snapped my cock off, and he had king queen off. And I was a little bit miffed. Queen, queen. We 3-bet. And villain calls. 50 in the pot, 25 behind. Do what you want, Reg. Check, raise, bet, doesn't matter. We went with check. He bet, he raised, we go all in. He calls. Boring. And he flopped the absolute nuts. He called a 3-bet with 10-8, flopped the absolute nuts. And we got it in with 4.5% equity. Well done, Reg. Although obviously nothing we can do there. Open, call, flop top pair, bet, call. Bet, call, check, bet. Sorry, don't know why that one's in. That might be a misclick. Oh, because we lost, but nevertheless. And that's it. That's the end of the hands. I don't think, like the last hour of last night's session, I didn't play really well. I was starting to really struggle with the symptoms of the cold. But as you can see, if we look back at the last four hands or so, tables were good. I was like, well, my tables were always good because I'm good at table setting, but I should have quit my session earlier and I didn't. That's on me. This is the graph for now 2 weeks into the month. It's okay. Winning at 10 bigs, all in adjusted 8.5. I significantly increased my tables yesterday. I went from basically 3 tabling. I decided, fuck it, we're going to kick the week off. Well, 6 tabled most of the day. I think today we're going to cut that back to 5 tables. I get that when you increase volume, your win rate's going to suffer. It's part of the terms and conditions. You one table, a really fishy table, you win at 40 bigs, 100 or whatever. You 6 tables, you 6 table with less good table selection, and your win rate is one. It's of course it's going to suffer because A, you're not concentrating as hard. B, your table selection is good, etc. So fine, it's a trade I'm willing to make in order to start increasing my volume, but I think 6 was too many. I think 5's about right, maybe even 4, but not 3. But I'm going to try 5 next time I play, maybe later today, depending on how I feel. I'm going to take some Sudafed in a moment. And these were the hands from last night's, from what we just looked at. So the last, what was it, 8.52 to 9.52. We just lost, not loads, but we lost like 2 buy-ins. Maybe we won a little bit, and then we only lost them in the ones that we marked. But my game definitely dropped off a little bit, and I shouldn't have been playing. But I was like, just keep playing, Reg, and then you can just go to sleep when you're done. And then I couldn't go to sleep because my fucking nose ran all night. If it wasn't running, it was blocked. So yeah, there you go. The plans for the rest of the week are just to grind hard as soon as I can, and hopefully next week have some more interesting hands, because these first 4 were from last week, as you can tell by the dates. Sorry, not just 2 of them were from last week, and then the rest from this week. You've actually put last week's thing up, but just take my word for it. I played 1,900 hands last week. That was it. I was very, very lazy. The snooker on again this week, but I'm not as bothered about it. It's a far inferior tournament. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Just a quick whiz through the hands I played. We'll see you again next week with more of the same. Bye bye for now.